What's up? Peace. So, I'm going to talk about the MCAT. The MCAT, right? The MCAT. The MCAT is no joke. That exam is no joke. Like, seriously, I read somewhere that said that this exam is the one of the predetermining steps of your pre-career. And that is so serious. After reflecting on that, that is so serious because that is one of your tickets in. If you have a good MCAT score, text message, reminder. Okay, if you have a good MCAT score and a good GPA, you're more likely to get an interview. And once you get your interview, then you just have to display your communication skills, display your motivations, and you you get that interview by not only getting your good GPA but also your good MCAT score. So basically, I'm making this because sometime next year, I'm planning to take the MCAT, and also, and because I'll finish my pre-med courses in about a year. So I've been trying to do a little bit more research on this test. I hear like crazy how, this is one of the hardest exams ever. You might hear some people stressing out about the exam, you know, and, maybe some people who've taken the exam stress out about it, blah, blah, blah. But, like, basically, I've gotten to a point, like, to get really serious, I've gotten to a point right now where I really don't care what anyone says about the exam. I don't care how hard the exam is. I don't care what anyone says, what statistic. I'm going to do whatever I can to prepare for that exam. If I really want to become the best doctor that I can, that involves getting into medical school. So I'm going to do whatever I can to get into medical school. And the MCAT is just happens to be one thing, one challenge that I have to go through. So I'm going to prepare as hard as I can. I'm going to spend a year preparing as hard as I can. Like around a year ago, like around 2 years ago, when I really made the decision to get into medical school, I looked at my first MCAT passage. Exam Crackers. I looked at it in the Exam Crackers PDF from Pirate Bay, torrent. But anyway, I looked at one of the passage from one of the science sections. I think it was either bio or chem, but I looked at one of them. Try to answer it. I was like, hell no, this is crazy, insane. Close it quick. Didn't look at it for like a month later. I was scared. But then I told myself, look, do you not want to become a doctor? If you do, you're going to have to pass this exam. Once that came up to my mind, I was like, hey, I got to do whatever I can to get myself used to this exam, trying to find out what it's testing for. So I opened it up back again a month later, opened it back up. Then I started looking at past questions every week. And then around that time, I was taking AMP, so I was focusing on the biology section, and there were a lot of anatomy and physiology related questions where I was paying attention to those kind of questions. And then I started getting a rhythm. I started talking about the questions were dealing with the cardiovascular system and the systems of the body, the nervous system, immune system. And at the time I was taking AMP, so that information was fresh off my mind, and I started getting used to those questions and even some chemistry questions. So basically what I've learned from the science questions on the MCAT, not the verbal questions. I have to talk about that another time because the verbal is a whole different story. But focusing on the science questions on the MCAT, what I've learned, what's going to happen is you're going to get a question, right? It may come with a passage. And the passage may talk about something you've never heard of before. Or it may talk about something that you're not supposed to know. Or most likely it's going to be something that you were not taught in your pre-med courses. So you're going to read this passage, and let's say it's talking about pharmaceuticals, right? Let's say it's talking about, it says pharmaceutical X. We have pharmaceutical X, and pharmaceutical X is a steroid-based pharmaceutical. And then the question may ask something like, what mechanism of action will pharmaceutical X take on this type of cell? And you have A, B, C, and D, right? And you may look at the question, you're like, what the hell? How am I supposed to answer this? I've never taken pharmacology before. I know nothing of pharmaceuticals. But then you realize that the pharmaceutical is a steroid based, and then it turns into a bio 1 question. And then you realize that steroid based, or at least steroid based hormones in that matter, will initiate a response through the plasma membrane to the nucleus, is entering into the cell, as opposed to a peptide hormone is going to initiate a response outside the cell by being recepted through some kind of extracellular receptor. There's a whole bunch of kinds of, yeah, some kind of extracellular receptor. But with that being said, you'll find, one of those four choices that shows that the pharmaceutical is initiating a response by entering into the cell. You know what I mean? And then basically, what am I really trying to say? What am I really trying to say? The MCAT takes practice. It takes preparation. Because looking at it at first, for me, was scary. But I started getting a rhythm, and soon I was getting questions right. And that just came with a lot of pain. Like, I was getting questions wrong, and I was telling myself, man, how am I going to pass the exam if I can't even get a stupid science question right? Like, I was trying to get that understanding. But it's the test is always going to go back and test you on something that you learned in your pre-med courses. So with that being said, that definitely motivated me with getting A's on my science classes and paying attention, showing up to lecture, not leaving late, not leaving early. What am I saying? Not leaving early, because something that your professor might is saying may come back, or most likely is going to come back on the MCAT, and you have to really develop those core concepts because you're going to be tested on them on the MCAT. So that's what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm preparing. I'm gonna spend a year preparing, however I can. Like, as I go through my pre-med courses, I'm gonna spend time trying to find out what concept do I need to know, what concepts do I need to know for the MCAT. And within that year of preparation, I'm sure like I'll be so much better. And I just pray like all my pre-meds watching, or if there's any high school students or people who are about to take an MCAT, definitely do not be afraid. This test is meant for you to pass. You just have to prepare, and that's basically it. I'll talk about the verbal another time. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment. Definitely. And stay positive. Peace.